A lot of experts will tell you that this election is either favored for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, depending on the biases that they'll tell you. I think I've been very guilty of looking at the polls way too much, seeing if it's accurate, looking at all these factors in my head about who's going to win, who's closest to win, looking at predictions and things of that nature. But one thing is for sure that this election can go either way. And besides policies, besides, talk about who I'm going to vote for, and because I haven't made my decision yet, truth be told, I think an important note that I want to highlight is that the people that will decide this election are the same ones that have decided the election in 2016. Um, I think Trump had the upper edge in 2016 in terms of running his campaign, even though the polls don't show it, because he took advantage of those low propensity voters, those people who don't typically vote in the midterms, those who stay away from politics, but they felt a sort of fire, maybe after the Obama presidency or when Trump declared his campaign. These low propensity voters tend to be, blue collar, white folks in, the Rust Belt, the Sun Belt, Pennsylvania, which just happens to be the biggest swing state we've ever seen, and such and so forth. Um, you know, the reason why the media epically failed to predict the election in 2016 is you just can't categorize a Trump voter. Um, famously, Trump voters tend to be those on Wall Street, the 1%, the Elon Musks of the world. And they also tend to be, the Amish people in Pennsylvania, or some Indian people, or even low-income white folks in Appalachia. So this unique idea of categorizing a Trump voter is very hard. But, like I said, that those low propensity voters, those blue collar folks, many of them are part of unions, many of them are coal miners, they are in the fracking industry, oil, construction, infrastructure, um, all these types of things. They are the ones that are fairly low propensity. And, you see Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, especially in Pennsylvania, trying to make a pitch to these voters. Recently, Kamala Harris had Vladimir Zelensky over to speak to the Polish Americans, because there is a substantial population of Polish Americans who typically lean conservative in Pennsylvania. And they are all low propensity. Not all, but they tend to be low propensity, blue collar folks who are involved with fracking, which Kamala Harris has been iffy back and forth over the years about her stance on fracking. I don't think it's a fair assessment to say that she's totally against fracking, but to have your doubts against if or not she is fracking is legitimate, in my opinion. But I feel like these are the people that are going to decide the election. They don't answer polls. They're not too involved with politics. They tend to be single issue voters. And, the word selfish is has a lot of negative connotations, but they tend to be selfish in the sense that they only vote for policies that they would benefit them, and I think every voter should, in the end of the day. But I think those are the people, the forgotten people, as Trump liked to call it, the silent majority, even though it's a very specific group of people. I think those are the people that are going to decide the outcome of this election. And, Alan Lightman, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's a historian at American U, professor. He predicted that Kamala Harris would win, but, there are polls that show that this election could be closer than 1876, which was the closest election in American history. By the Electoral College and the popular vote, that might not be the case, but I think it'll be a close election in the sense that, I could totally see Trump winning Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, and I can also see Kamala Harris winning those states as well, Michigan, Wisconsin. So there's a lot to look out for. Um, but bridging off of that, you really just can't trust the polls. The polls are very volatile, and the current state of this election is, it was a little different in 2020. Biden was just absolutely crushing Trump in the polls, so it gave you at least a little bit of reassurance to say, hey, Biden's probably going to win this one. But, between Trump and Kamala, every poll is within margin of error at this point. And, I think people have already made their opinion and their assessment of Donald Trump. We've known who he is since, 2016. Gosh, it's been 8 years now. But the thing that maybe frustrates people about Kamala is they don't know enough. So you have one candidate you know so much about that you already have your opinion made, and then you have one candidate you don't know much about. So for a lot of Americans, especially those low propensity voters, it is going to be that, dice roll of, do I trust a Trump presidency again, or can a Kamala presidency be better than a Trump presidency? Those are the questions they're going to be asking themselves. Historically, in high turnout elections, um, Democrats do typically better, but I think that might not be the case anymore. And I can't wait to see what happens. Um, you know, I'm interested to hear who you vote for and why, because I've still not made my choice. But I'm looking forward to it all. And if anything, my only opinion out of today's video would be, please vote. A vote for nobody is not, a good thing. Vote for at least a person, even if it's a third-party candidate. I don't believe in the spoiler idea or any of that. Vote for who you think would be the best president. With that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy your day, and I will see you tomorrow.